like having
Showing
a skill.
okay, and I would agree that it has a little bit of something to do with skill. Okay,
Yeah.
here's the definition, and you guys might not know the word shrewd, but how about crafty, exhibiting ingenuity?
Which ingenuity? Yeah.
So if someone is cunning, they might be able to do something like,
Way better than what you
well, do you really need me to do this? Or what if I do this instead?
So they're
So it's like-
hesitating about it.
It's like
Bargaining.
being able to get to work your way out of doing something. Okay? So you can see then how lazy and cunning might go together.
Yeah.
Because if you're lazy, then you're probably going to try to find ways to get out of doing your job. Right? Okay? So lazy and cunning could have to do with each other because being cunning might mean that you can get your way out of things.
I know this.
Okay? Now notice, they had said lazy and cunning, but right before that they said stupid but strong.
They're stupid, but they're
So that they physically are able to do these tasks, all these really hard jobs that they were given. Well, it says here in the parentheses, and again, these are comments by the author. If you think this contradicts the earlier statement, then you are right. But logic does not enter into these types of beliefs. Okay? So again, they would feel this way. They would keep these attitudes that they were lazy, that they were stupid, that they were uncivilized. But then some of these attitudes would contradict each other. And they didn't worry about that because they weren't being logical. They were just trying to make it okay to do something horrible. Okay? Because if you think about what Jesus would want people to do, would Jesus want people to torture each other?
No.
No. Would Jesus think it's okay to treat somebody horrible and make them your slave?
No.
No. Okay. But these people were Christians and they're trying to say that because we're Christians it's okay to do this. But that doesn't really go along with what their beliefs are supposed to be. Okay? So just keep that in mind.
Making their own rules, pretty much.
Yeah, it's like making their own rules, exactly. Yes, Lexi. The color of their skin was, and so needed constant and harsh supervision, okay? Because they were lazy and cunning. Meaning that they should be whipped if they don't listen to you. The color of their skin was black, which had been associated for centuries in the European mind with darkness, fear, evil, and as the very opposite, an enemy of Christian whiteness and light. Okay, so that's where the racism comes into play, especially, with thinking that colors are good or bad. Their color, which was unchangeable, was the visible proof that they themselves could never change, develop, or act as anything but slaves and servants to their white masters. Okay? So again, these are the attitudes that the Europeans would have, and it's the way that they made it okay for them to be able to have slaves. There is a passage in the Bible about the descendants of Noah's son, Ham, who was cursed by God, who are condemned for all eternity to be slaves and servants. In the Middle Ages, and so that would be like in the time of knights and princes and all that, this was held by the clergy. Who are clergy? Ooh, if you don't know clergy, you better highlight that. Who are members of the clergy? What does that mean they have to do with it? What does that have to do with their job? If your job is to be a clergyman, then what do you work for? Who do you work for?
Spy.
No, it's not a spy.
The white people.
Well, they're talking about white people here, but
The king?
it's a specific job if
The
you're
king?
clergy. You don't work for the king. You're not involved in the government. You guys don't know what clergy is?
The owners of the slaves.
Nope.
I have no idea.
Okay, highlight clergy. Make sure you have that word highlighted. Yes, clergy. That's somebody who works for the church. So that would be like the priests, the nuns, and so on, people who work for the church. This was held by the clergy to apply to the lowest ranks of society, the poorest peasants and the serfs, whose position was considered fixed and unalterable. Okay? So the attitude then was, if you're born poor, you stay poor. Okay? And then they were saying, oh, well, these people must be descendants from Noah's son Ham, because that's why they're servants. That's why they're serfs. Do you guys know the word serf?
No. Yes,
You should know it from world history. Highlight serfs then.
Where is it? Isn't it like the richer? Like
This
the
is
middle
paragraph
class?
18.
The middle class, right? But I didn't.
The serfs would be the lower
It's like
class.
2 sentences
Yeah.
after.
So peasants are like country people who work in the fields. Serfs are also like field workers. And I believe that they have to work the land to to own it eventually. I believe that's what it is. We can look that up though. Whose position was considered fixed and unalterable, meaning they could never change from that. With the establishments of slavery in the colonial period, it came to be understood to refer exclusively to black people. Okay? So they went from just saying that they were the lowest members of society, who were descendants of Noah's son Ham, who must be slaves and servants. Then they just changed it. They were like, oh, this is referring to black people.